Hello, welcome to the Executive Bite. My name is Kyle Rowland. Today we're going to talk about the first creation. So whether we're building our organization, our people system, or we're building the software that we're putting in the hands of the customer, there's a real power and a real technique that we need to remember, and that's Stephen Covey's idea of the first creation. And we sort of build this into our system. We build this into our processes in a lot of ways. And we kind of do it without maybe understanding why we're doing it. We call it planning, or we call it whiteboarding, or what have you. But the idea of really visualizing a thing before we jump in and do it has so much power in terms of being able to do the thing faster and honestly more peacefully. So when all of us being, at least one point in our career, software developers, can understand the idea that when we really thought through a problem space well, it was much more rewarding to go and develop through that as we did it. And so when we don't, we're fighting with all these edge cases. We're dealing with things that are challenging, that we haven't kind of bubbled to the top of our consciousness yet. But when we're intentional about doing those first creations, a lot of that evaporates, a lot of it disappears, and we work through it. Now, there's a key point here. You don't want to marry yourself to what you come up with in the first creation. So we might whiteboard some grand object design, or we might whiteboard some great breakdown of teams or what have you, depending on the space you're working in. And what we don't want to do is we don't want to say we have to do what we put on the whiteboard, what we put on the napkin, what our first creation was. What we want to do is we want to use that to either just for us or for the group of people that we're dealing with. We want to allow the visualization of that to create the context within our thinking that eliminates or at least prepares us to deal with whatever obstacles we're going to come up with. And again, between developing the people system and developing the actual software, a lot of the thinking about these two things is very different. One's very empirical, the other is very a priori. But in both cases, a good first creation, a good visualization of what we're going to do before we do it makes a ton of difference. A ton of difference both in moving quickly, but a ton of difference also in the sort of sense of peace and fun that we have as we're building our software or building our teams. So keeping this in mind, Stephen Covey absolutely nailed this. Obviously, read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. If you haven't already, revisit it. If you have, the idea of the first creation will multiply your effectiveness both as an engineer and as a leader. So this has been the Executive Bite. My name is Kyle Rowland. Have a good day.